All right, we are back with another high ticket sales role play. I have Faith and I have Sam. Faith is going to play the closer for a fitness offer, and Sam is going to demonstrate a prospect here. We're going to go through the discovery. We're not going to do the intro. We're not going to do the framing. We're definitely not going to do objection handling because none of that matters if you nail the discovery. The discovery is where the sale is made or lost if you actually know how to execute a proper discovery. If you don't, have fun doing follow-up, have fun sitting in objection handling battles. That will be the life that you continue to live until you nail and master the discovery. I hate follow-up. I hate objections. I don't want to do that. So I teach how to nail the discovery so that you can get one call closes. And if someone doesn't buy on the first call, you've gone so deep into the discovery and built so much authenticity and trust that the prospect will reach back out to you and say, hey, I thought about that fantastic conversation we had over the last 24 hours. I'm ready to enroll. You don't need to be texting them and emailing them like a little loser. So let's crack in with the opening question. Whenever you're ready, Faith.
So, Sam, I'm curious to hear, in your own opinion, what's the biggest challenge that you're having with your health right now?
I'd say just like staying motivated to actually keep at it. I'd start a bunch of things, stop a bunch of things, and it just seems like it's a never-ending cycle.
Okay, so you're having a hard time staying motivated. You'll start something, but you always stop it.
Yeah.
Okay. So, because you're not staying motivated, what's actually going on with your health right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm carrying, definitely carrying more weight than I should. Having some issues, staying asleep and actually feeling like I'm rested. That whole thing.
Okay. So, you're carrying more weight than you want to. How much do you weigh right now?
Probably like 290, 295.
Okay. 290, 295, and how much extra weight are you carrying?
I mean, I'd say probably 40, 50 pounds.
Okay, 40 to 50 pounds. Okay, so you said you keep going through these cycles of trying to lose these 40, 50 pounds. What cycle are you in right now?
Okay, pause. Be careful. It's not exactly he keeps going through these cycles. That's not the authentic ownership that he said. He keeps stopping. So make sure we don't slightly change the words that remove a bit of the ownership. Oh, you keep going through these cycles. No, no, no. Okay, so you've got 40, 50 pounds more weight than you want to be carrying, and you keep stopping the things that you're doing to lose that weight. Is that accurate? Yes. It's more pointed at the prospect. Very subtle shift, but it makes a big difference as we stack those on top of each other. Because otherwise, we're like kind of giving the prospect space to be a victim. Oh, yeah, it's not really my fault. No, no, you choose to stop. So I want to know, how many times have you chosen to stop? When do you choose to stop? What leads to you choosing to stop? Have you gotten to the point where you're done stopping with things? Yes. Okay. Is there anything you think led to you keep stopping that we can maybe do different? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. But it's always about the prospect's choices. All right. Keep going.
Okay. So, Sam, why do you keep stopping every time you do start?
Yeah, I mean, I just end up getting sidetracked, get busy, and it becomes less priority, and then it's a couple weeks, couple months later, and we're back at it again.
Okay, so you said it becomes less of a priority. Why are you not prioritizing your health right now?
It's too challenging in the sense of how to explain this. It's better to just ask them, where is it at now in terms of a priority, and why is that different to before? That's gonna empower the prospect as opposed to kind of like denigrating the prospect. It doesn't, like, the past's the past. It doesn't really help. What matters is right now. Where is it at as a priority? Because let's just say he turns around and says, "Oh, it's basically the same as before." Okay, well, how are things going to be different? And you're challenging the prospect's thinking and decision making as opposed to attacking them personally.
Okay.
Slight difference. So try that instead.
Okay. All right, so you said it's less of a priority sometimes, but where does it fall on your priority scale right now?
Yeah, I mean, I would say pretty high. I mean, I took the time to book a call.
Pretty high. Okay. Is there anything else that's higher than this?
I'm sorry,
Not,
Faith.
not,
That answer was for Josh.
yeah, that was not bad what you were going with, Faith, because basically his answer was bullshit.
Yeah.
You're saying, is there anything higher? Not bad, and you're going in the right direction, but we may as well numericize it. Okay, so if you had 5 to 10 priorities, where is it? Scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the top, 10 being the bottom. Like, make him numericize it, then make him compare where it was before and say, okay, well, it was a 4 out of 10 before, now it's a 3 out of 10. Do you think that difference in priority is actually going to allow you to break the cycle of continuing to stop the activities and the behaviors and the decisions that would allow you to lose weight? He then turns around and says, no. It says, okay, what are you going to do? How much longer do you want to be 50 pounds overweight because you're not prioritizing it more? Yeah, so we can go faster by getting more specifics. The more we kind of keep things vague, the slower the call's going to go. Okay, but you're going in the right direction because his pretty high was bullshit. So thanks for that, Sam.
Anytime, buddy.
Great. So you said pretty high. On a scale of your top 10 priorities, where does this one rank?
I mean, I would say right now like a 6 or a 7.
6 or 7. Okay, and where was it before?
I mean, like I said, it kind of goes up and down. I would say normally like by the time I end up stopping, it's probably like a 2 or 3, because other things have shifted up.
So by the time you stop, it's up to a 2 or 3?
Oh, sorry, I was going like 1 out of 10, 10 being the most
Okay.
important, not number one.
Okay, so on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being the most important, it's a 6 or 7 right now. In the past, it's been down to a 2 or 3.
Correct. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So what did anything happen that caused it to go from a 2 or 3 to now being a 6 or 7?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that like I said, I've always kind of known that I was carrying too much weight and needed to like actually get healthy. Um, just like getting out of breath, playing with my niece and nephew, the last couple weeks has been eye-opening. It
Okay,
didn't used to be that way.
gotcha. So in the past couple weeks, you were playing with your nieces and nephews and you were getting out of breath, and that hadn't happened in the past.
Yeah.
Okay. So
They didn't exist in the past.
yeah, but you said you've always known. So if they didn't exist in the past, then how have you always known this is something you needed to do?
I mean, I don't think anybody's confused when they look in the mirror if they're carrying extra weight. It just wasn't a big deal because young, I'll figure it out eventually.
Yeah. So you said you would, figure it out eventually. What have you tried on your own to figure it out?
Don't go to what has he tried. He's trying to rationalize, I'll figure it out eventually. Kill him with the data of how long he's been trying to figure it out,
Okay.
as
So
opposed to what have you tried.
okay, so like how long have you tried?
Yep.
That's what we want as far as data, but I wouldn't ask it like that. I would ask it like this. Okay, so you're 295 and you believe that you're carrying 40 or 50 pounds more weight than you'd like to. So you're saying that you would like to be 240, 245. Is that accurate?
Yep.
Were you less than that as an adult in the past? Or was that kind of your weight when you were at a weight that you felt was healthy? You were happy with that weight? Is that the weight that you were at, 240?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that was basically what I was coming out of high school, yeah.
And at high school, were you the weight that you wanted to be, 240?
I mean, that was the healthiest I ever was. I carried it well. I could move and groove like I wanted to. Like I didn't really find any issues.
So
Had two
you didn't
legs
have,
then too.
okay, so you didn't have any issues at 240. How tall are you?
No, 6 foot.
I'm curious. I mean, I don't want to judge you or anything, but like 240 at 6 foot still feel like, were you super muscly and very strong and like a bodybuilder, or?
No, I mean I was well toned, but I mean I have 3 foot wide shoulders. Like I'm not exactly slender.
Okay. Would you like to be more slender, or you genuinely want to stay 240 for the rest of your life?
No, I mean I'm saying at 240, I don't really look like I'm carrying extra weight.
Okay, so you don't look like you're carrying extra weight. You feel good. 240 is the
Yeah.
weight that we're going for.
Yeah.
Okay. And you mentioned that was high school.
Yeah.
I'm not from the States, so I don't know what age is high school. What age is high school?
17, 18,
Okay. And how old are you now?
32, about to be 33.
Okay, so that's 12, 13, 14. Okay, so that's more or less 15 years.
Yeah.
So is it accurate that over the 15 years you've been starting, stopping, starting, stopping, starting, stopping, and going up these extra 40, 50 pounds over 15 years?
Yeah.
So why do you say that people will just figure it out if it's been 15 years for you and you haven't figured it out?
Well, I mean, I can't really say that I've put all that much effort into like actually fixing it.
Right, which is what a lot of people don't do to fix it, but effort is part of the equation, effort and the right mentorship and guidance. So do you think people just all of a sudden put in the right effort with enough period of time, or is that not a foregone conclusion?
Well, I mean, I think that, I mean, if they pick it up and actually just don't keep stopping and keep doing what they know that they need to do, eat right, work out, all of that, then that's just effort multiplied by time.
Well, what I'm trying to understand, Sam, is your thought process around time. Do you
Yeah.
think time just naturally fixes all problems just because it's time, or do you think it's nothing to do with how much time it is? It's whether you're doing the right things consistently, or is it just time?
No, I mean, you have to do the right things consistently for sure.
Okay. Have you done the right things consistently over 15 years?
No.
Okay. How much longer are you going to not do the right things and lose a decade and a half of your life? Have you gotten to the point where you are no longer willing to not do the right things and do the wrong things?
Yeah. Yeah.
Why?
I mean, I mean, it's been 15 years, man. Like, I don't want to be 48 and still 50, 60 pounds overweight. Like,
No, but
that's
you're
not going to
32.
happen.
You're
No, I
32.
know.
That's another 15 years away. What has actually changed in the last few days, weeks, months, which is different to the last 15 years? What has actually changed, if anything?
Yeah. I mean, I've just started to look at it as like, I want to be around to, play with my nieces and nephews, be around for my brother and sisters, weddings and everything else. And like, I need to make sure that I'm doing what I need to do to be able to do that.
Have you had any moments where you thought you were going to have a heart attack or something?
No, I mean, I haven't thought I was going to like keel over and die, but like I said, it's become more and more prevalent, more and more obvious, or more and more, I should say, front of mind.
More and more what?
For like front of mind, top of mind.
Why?
Well, I mean, because yeah, I mean, I can't keep going on like this forever. I will have diabetes, heart attack. That stuff all runs in my family.
I get forever, but we're not talking about forever. We're talking about another day. Is there any reason that you cannot go another day? And the reason I'm saying another day is because if it's not another day, the way you've been showing up for the last 15 years, another day will be another month, year, decade, decade and a half, because your rationalization up until now was, well, time will just fix it. Well, time hasn't fixed it and time won't fix it. What will fix it, if you so choose, is making an immediate decision to change the way you act and then stick to that. And what I want to know is what is actually prompting that decision to be the end of this call, like right now, rather than, oh, give it another 6 months or another 6 years. You being out of breath with your kids and thinking, oh, I don't want to die in 15 years or be like this at 48. That's not now enough for this to make a change. And if I
Yeah, but
can't get,
that's the first time that those things have popped up. Like that wasn't something that I had thought about before, getting out of breath playing, around the house with my niece and nephew. Like that was an eye opener. Like I need to do something about this because like this isn't acceptable anymore.
okay, so that was an eye opener. In what way was it an eye opener?
Well, I mean, before it was just, extra weight. I'll do it later. I'll get it taken care of, someday. And like I said, playing with them, it was like, oh shit, like I'm fucking the fat uncle that, can't play with his nieces and nephews. Like that's not okay.
Why is that not okay?
No, I mean nobody likes the fat uncle,
We're not
but
talking
that
about
was
we're
no. But
talking
I'm
about
saying like that was. I mean me. Like I never liked the fat uncle. They would sit there and drink beer on the side or hang out and just watch everything happen. The cool uncle was the one that was out there playing, throwing the ball, running around. Like one of the older kids, right? He was the one that was around, right? And the other ones aren't.
Okay, so one part of this is being around, and the other part of it is being a part of what's going on. One's not being dead, and the other
Yeah.
one is not just sitting there, drinking beer and not doing anything. What has been, because you've got this idea of being the cool uncle. Did you have a cool uncle or a
Yeah.
non-cool uncle? Okay, and
No, both.
oh, what do you mean you had both?
Well, I mean, I've got a lot of uncles. My grandparents were prolific.
Sorry, say that again.
Said I had a lot of uncles. My grandparents were pretty prolific.
Sure. So what you're saying is you had one uncle that was the cool uncle and one uncle that was the not cool uncle.
Yeah.
What was your relationship like with each?
I mean, I have way more memories of, the cool uncle. Like I mean, like my Uncle Dave, like I know who he is. Like he's still my uncle, but like he was just never as big a part of, my life growing up and my brother and sister's life growing up as, my Uncle Ron.
How many memories do you think your nieces and nephews have of you right now, as far as similar to the memories that you had with your cool uncle?
Not many.
How many?
Oh, would you even expect somebody to be able to quantify that?
Yeah.
Interesting. Um, yeah, I don't know, man. A few.
20?
I
2?
mean,
5?
5, 10,
And how old are your nephews and nieces?
or 6 and 8.
8 times 365. So you've had 2,920 days or more if for the 10-year-old. Sorry, for the 8-year-old, 2,920 days. And you've got like 5 memories with them. So if we take that, so 5 divided by 2,920, 0.001% of your nephew and niece's life have you been, in your words, a part of it. 0.001. Or to make it maybe a little bit more clear for you, 99.999% of their life you haven't been a part of.
I would say it's more that they would remember.
Same thing.
Ah, oh, that's good.
How much of someone's life are you if it had no significance that you'd even remember? You're just forgotten. You were there and then it was like, oh, he was never there. Because you didn't create any significant experience that they'd even remember it.
Yeah.
So when I say that 99.999% of their life, you haven't had any significance. How does that make you feel?
Yeah, not good.
Why?
Well, I mean, my uncles had a lot more of a presence in my life than that.
Okay, so your uncle's had a lot more presence, but why is you not having a presence for 99.999% of your nephew and niece's life not good? Why?
Well, I mean, they helped make me who I am today. They were a significant part of that.
In what way did they make you who you are?
I mean, just the just being around, the way that they acted, the way that they carried themselves, how they interacted with the world, how they interacted with us.
And why, if it is, why is that something that is important to you as far as helping making your nephews and nieces who they are in the future rather than their parents doing that? Why is that something that is important for you to be a part of?
I mean, because I think that I have a lot to offer, like in that regard. And I'm
Okay,
never going to be a replacement parent, obviously, but
sure.
I've lived some life, and if they can learn from that, all the better.
What do you think you have to offer them that their parents potentially couldn't offer them, that you're not offering them because your extra weight and the lack of energy because of that is preventing you from being able to give them that life offering experience? What are some of those things?
Um, this is fucking hard to even back up on the spot, Josh. I'm at a, I mean, I'm at a loss just to try to continue as this prospect in this role play, which is
Disappointing.
not easy to do because I've been the perennial prospect for years.
So what's different then compared to how you would typically be a prospect? Let's back out of the role play then.
Yeah.
What's different then as far as why it's so difficult?
Mm, so like this is a so like this conversation, I would say like as a whole is like deeper, faster than I would be used to, or like than I typically, I mean, than I definitely have like on my calls right now. But like there's nothing about it that's like disingenuous or that feels forced, right? Like Pete put in the chat, like it's a real conversation. Like, and that's, I mean, that's true. Um, Now there are places where I would say that like I wanted to push back as somebody playing a character like in this role play, but part of that is like I that's mainly because I don't think that I would be able to get somebody to not push back with those questions. And like I think that you would. Number one, I've seen you do it, um but like looking at, kind of like taking a step up and back, it's like those are questions that I feel like with somebody in the heat of the moment, like that this was, like falling out them, having this conversation with you, like would answer that question.
What do you think is different to, let's go off the back of the rant. What do you think is different to the way, I don't want this to sound self aggrandizing, if that's the way to phrase it, but like, what do you think is different about me compared to you maybe being able to execute that in a way where someone either wouldn't give pushback or you would be able to manage the pushback? What's different about how I'm showing up?
Well, I mean, the I would say that it's like you can tell that you care. Like they're like I
Mm.
said, they're like I'm not getting any I'm not getting any I'm not getting any vibes that like you're just like that question's a means to an end. Now, obviously, like I know that it is, right? Like we're trying to get somewhere in the conversation, but like it's not, you're not salivating for that answer. And like um that is, I would say, definitely different than the way that I've seen a lot of people ask questions like that.
Okay, great. Let me train on that very quickly for everyone. There is a means to it. There is an end that I'm aiming for,
Yeah.
because otherwise I'm wasting the prospect's time and I'm wasting mine. The catch, and so let's take what Sam said, which was very revelatory, and just specify some slight nuance, which is I need an end, but I don't care which end we arrive at. I don't care if we get to a conclusion where I've tried everything in my repertoire and I'm like, Sam, you're 50 pounds overweight. You say you want to lose this weight, but I genuinely don't think you have enough internal commitment that you'll either come aboard to this program, or even if some way, shape, or form we allowed you aboard, I don't think you'd have enough internal drive to sustain going through the training and working with your coach and blah, blah, blah to get success. So I would say we don't have alignment. I'm equally as happy or non-attached to that outcome as the outcome of beautiful. We've gone so many layers deep. We now have something that's going to fuel you to be successful in taking action on something, in this case, this program, and then following through on that action. So I want to get to a dead end, but I don't care whether it's left or right. And that's what, in my opinion, and everybody in the chat, comment if you agree, disagree, have any pushback. That's what allows me to approach the call in a way which feels different to the prospect. Is I'm trying to get to something, but I'm not trying to hope, pray, wish for, be attached to one outcome over another. I really don't care. I just want to get to a conclusion. The conclusion is you're not going to make it, and I'll be honest with you, or the conclusion is beautiful. We've got something that's now going to be locked inside your subconscious mind that you will make it. Does that make sense? Yeah?
Right, I got to bounce on a follow-up call. So Faith, I apologize about having to bow out as the rest of your prospect.
All right. Catch you in a bit,
see
Sam.
you guys
No
next week.
See you in a bit. All right. Put your hand up. Anybody that has comments that they want to add on to what I just shared at the end as far as the difference. Having people don't realize. I agree, Jeremy, but I went in on that 4 times at the beginning of the role play. Nope, I was 240. I'm big boned. I like it. There's only so far you can go. You just want them to, yep, I just want them to tell themselves the truth. And the truth could be they're not going to make it, or the truth could be that they will make it. I really don't mind. And with that prospect that Sam was being, he ain't going to enroll, and he definitely wouldn't be successful if he did enroll at the level that we got to in the role play. We need to just keep going at the prospect until we burn the lead, which is fine because it wasn't really a lead to burn if they weren't going to enroll. And it's not about enrolling. It's they weren't actually going to put in the commitment to lose the weight. So I didn't burn any lead. Or I have to go so far that we find something and we connect some dots together in the prospect's mind and our realization as the closer that we can now move forward with a presentation of this is how we take you from A to Z. Before how we take you from A to Z, I need to know that there's a likelihood that you start on that path and you follow through on that path. That is inside the prospect, nothing to do with the program. You just want them to tell themselves the truth. Correct. Anybody else got any comments? We'll do another role play, guys, because we've got time to go. Absolutely, Faith. Yeah, go for it.
So this is actually really funny because I had this prospect yesterday. They were nowhere near as difficult and stubborn, but it was like the same exact story. They have 8 grandkids and they want to be able to run around with them, get up and off the floor with them. But they said it's like, oh, it's not, there's nothing happening right now that I can't, but in the future, I want to be able to make sure that I'm going to be able to do it in the future. And I feel like I get that sometimes, like, oh, there's nothing going on with my health right now. Like I don't have diabetes right now, but I want to make sure in the future I don't get it. I feel like I have a hard time really with what you just did. So maybe if you could just like pinpoint, how do I get someone from, oh, it's not happening right now, just something I want to avoid in the future? Like, how do you get that to, how do you get them to see, like, or what question or what point you get to transition from, I'm just doing this so that I avoid that in the future versus like, no, what's actually going on right now?
Okay, let me coach you through it. Everybody watch this. So why is it important that somebody has that realization?
Well, she wouldn't have to take action for probably another 5 to 10 years if it was something that she was worried about happening in the future.
And what happens if she doesn't need to take action for the next 5 to 10 years, 5 to 15 years even?
Well, she probably wouldn't have the urgency to sign up now. I also think that it would probably happen a lot faster than someone thinks it would happen.
Yep. What about if we're taking part of Sam's role play and it might have been similar to yours? What about the fact that they've been running this same pattern for 10 to 15 years? How do you think that connects to not having an urgency to need to do anything now, but just be putting in preventative measures for the next 10 to 15 years as well? How does that connect together?
Because they never felt the need that it needs to be done right now. They've been going through those cycles for 10 to 15 years. And same thing, if they don't feel like they need to do it now, they'll continue to go through those cycles for 10 to 15 years.
Now try and phrase that as a question to me if I was the prospect. So it's a slightly complicated question, but give it a go.
Okay.
Because you can't tell, or you can as a last resort, but it's better to not tell that to the prospect and better to ask them about that.
Okay.
See if
So I feel like I'm just gonna, I'll probably mess it up, but,
give it a
okay.
go.
So if it's not that important right now, you've been going through these cycles for the past 10 to 15 years, what would stop you from just continuing to go through those cycles for another 10 to 15 years?
Pretty good. I'd have to think about that as a prospect. I'd have to actually think what would be different. So there you go. You just try it as a question. You take the truth, which is why does this matter, and put it back onto the prospect where they have to make the choice. Okay, so if for the last 15 years, this has not been enough of a priority to do something about it now, but in the past, how is it going to be different now if it's equally the same level of urgency that you're just trying to prevent something 10 to 15 years from now rather than fixing something that's a problem right now? How is it going to be any different? Do you think part of the problem in regards to you not doing anything about this for 10 to 15 years and 15 years going by and still being in a position where you don't do anything about it, do you think part of the problem is anything to do with you don't have a burning reason to do this now? You're just always thinking about the future. Do you think that's part of the problem in regards to why you haven't got this solved? They'll probably say yes. You say, okay, so how are you going to solve this now without having a burning problem? Which, by the way, I can't give you a burning reason to do this now. I can't, wave a magic wand and go, hey, Faith, here's a burning reason to do this now. You need to have that burning reason in your own personal life, something that's going on with you. Otherwise, no amount of dietitian work or exercise work or accountability partner or anything that we offer inside our program is going to work for you. Let me ask you a question. Do you want me to enroll you into our program if the likelihood of it working is very slim? They would say no. So what do you need to do to increase the likelihood that if you enroll in our program, Gary's program, Sarah's program, any program, the likelihood is very high that you actually get results? What do you need to do? And you take it around the circle until you go all the way back around that they need to say, I need to have a burning reason to do that. Okay, beautiful. Doesn't seem like prior to turning up to this call that you had that burning reason. Can I make a suggestion? They say yes. You say, if you came up with a burning reason now to kind of continue with this conversation, it probably wouldn't be. No, I would phrase that as a question. Do you think if you came up with a burning reason right now while we're on this call to allow the conversation to continue, that it would be a very genuine or deep burning reason? They would say no. Say, okay, what do you think would allow you to come up with something that would be a genuine burning reason? They'll probably say, I need to think about it. You say, okay, how much time do you think would be a reasonable amount of time to think about it where it gives you enough time to come up with a genuine reason, but not so much time that the problem turns into another day, another week, another month, another year that nothing's done about it? They'll probably say something like 2 or 3 days. You say, okay, can I challenge you on that? Yes. Over those 2 or 3 days, are you going to be sitting there for 12 hours a day, 3 days a week thinking about it? They'll say no. You say, realistically, how long do you actually think you would be thinking about it to come up with a proper reason to need to do this now? They'll probably say something like 4 hours. Say, can I challenge you to spend those 4 hours tonight? And they'll probably say, okay. And you say, why are you okay with me challenging you to do that tonight? Now you're putting it back on them. They say, well, because I guess if I can come up with the reason now, I can get this fixed quicker. You say, okay, great. Do you think 4 hours tonight is reasonable for us to then talk again tomorrow about how we can now take this burning reason and implement it into a plan? They'll probably say yes. You say, okay, cool. So I'm not going to chase you, because if I was chasing you, I'd actually be stealing from you the internal motivation, the internal reason for you to do this, and trying to externally, put a fire up your ass to do it for you. So I'm not going to text you. I'm not going to email you. I'm not going to chase you. Why do you think that is? They'll just tell you the reason you just told them. Well, because I need to come up with the reason myself. Do you think that's fair? They'll say yes. Why is that fair? Well, because I need to do it internally. And you're just playing back and forth off the prospect. So they're rewiring the way that they think and the way they make decisions. You say, okay, so what are we going to do? They'll say, I'm going to think about it for 4 hours. Tomorrow, I'm going to text you or email you. You say, okay, beautiful. Now, just to make sure we're clear and we're on the same page, if you text me and email me tomorrow and you say, hey, I've got my reason, what's next? And they'll say, well, I don't know. I probably need to know about the program, blah, blah, blah. You say, yep, absolutely. I'll send you my calendar, find a time to book in a call. We'll go through all the details. Now, let's say that all the details are aligned, plus I've now helped you get this burning reason to do it. What happens then? And you want them to say, I will enroll in the program right then and there. And you say, why? They say, well, because of the reasons I needed to lose the weight, plus I now have my burning reason, which was one of the things that was preventing me following through on everything. So I have everything I need. You say, okay, makes total sense. I'll look out for a text from you tomorrow or an email from you tomorrow. And you go all the way to the end until you've figured out what the issue is, figured out what the resolution is, and then committed them to, if everything's aligned, you're going to take action. And so that would be what I would do with that type of prospect. The worst thing you can do is try and get them to come up with a reason there and then on the call if they genuinely don't have one. Second worst thing that you can do from that is play the follow-up game, because you actually playing the follow-up game is doing the same thing in a different lens as trying to force them to come up with the reason on the call. No. What you have to do as a master closer is say, this is your hero's journey. You need to figure it out. I'm going to guide you through figuring it out and guide you through my questions through what happens when you've figured it out, why you need to figure it out, and get them to keep buying into the truth, how to be successful. The only thing you can do as a master closer is guide them through it and then leave them to run with it and let them go and do it on their own. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So basically like asking, essentially like, why now? If one, that might fish out a burning problem that maybe they just weren't wanting to admit, or two, they don't know what their burning problem is. So in that case, give them like the time and space so that it's a genuine burning problem and not something that they're trying to say just to shut you up on the call.
Correct. So there's three phases or three options, and how far you go depends on whether the first option or the second option follows through. Option one, you ask them the questions and find that they have a burning problem. Option two, you've asked them questions, they don't have a burning problem. Phase two, going deeper, is you have to get them to connect the dots that them not having a burning problem is one of, if not the most significant reason they haven't had success, and that they will continue to not have success. So we only have to get to connecting those dots together if they didn't have a real reason. Let's say they didn't have a reason. We've now connected the dots that's why they're not successful. Phase three is then guiding them through the process of what their options are. You either spend the time, you find a burning reason that will allow you to be successful, or you spend the time and find a burning reason. You spend the time and don't find a burning reason and accept the harsh but honest reality that you'll never be successful in this realm of life, or you don't even spend the time figuring it out and thinking it through, and you condone yourself to not being successful. That's phase three, which is the bit that I just did at the end of playing out the different options, guiding them through that, because your only job on a sales call is to get to the end of the call and know that you've truly served the prospect and given them reality, shown them this is reality. Whether you like it or not, that's reality. You didn't have a big reason why. Therefore, you're not going to be successful. If you do or don't think about getting a burning reason, these are the different options you have. Now they are informed. They are equipped to make a truly fair assessment of what they're going to do from a place where they don't have ignorance. They're not like, oh, I didn't realize that. I didn't realize not having a burning reason was condoning me to failure. Or I didn't realize that not thinking it through was going to condone me to failure. Or the other final option is, if you do think it through and you do have a burning problem and you lock in on that, I am going to hold you accountable to taking action right now. And you have to play out all of those different options. And this is how, another thing that is very important as a closer, when you get off a call that didn't close, but you know you've done all of this, you get off that call and view it as a sale won. In other words, you didn't get paid, you didn't get commission, but you get off the call and you're like, man, I did my absolute duty. And if we then go into the fourth dimension, when you do things like that and you actually serve the prospect knowing that you're not going to get that commission payment from that prospect, multiple things happen. The next leads that were going to turn up to your next calls that were about to no-show because you're in a state of being transactional and not serving prospects, all of a sudden those fucking leads turn up. The leads that were going to turn up that were not going to be good prospects miraculously shift into fucking laydown sales. People that you didn't close weeks ago or months ago just come out of nowhere and say, I'm ready to buy now. And you just start making commissions out of fucking nowhere. And this is why to make $100,000 a month in commission, like I made, it's not linear. It's not, okay, I turn up to this call, my show rate is this percentage, I close this percentage of people, and I get this much commission per day. It's not linear. It's the fourth dimension, which is, okay, even the calls that I turn up to that don't close and I don't get that commission, if I do my duty, other shit just starts happening that adds to your total monthly commission. And this is, I don't think you can hit $100,000 a month in commission without just working an obscene amount of hours, like 16 hours a day, working Australian shift and USA shift and doing that, unless you're playing the 4D game and you realize it's all sorts of shit that connects. The only thing you have to focus on is showing up as someone that's truly being your best self and continuing to evolve into a better version of yourself and trying to serve prospects. And then everything just starts happening for you. And it's like the matrix and the world is conspiring for your benefit because you're conspiring by conscious choice for the benefit of everybody else. So the universe reciprocates in kind. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes total sense. And I think even just like internally, like if I like yesterday I got off the call, right? And like, yeah, not only did it not feel like a win because I didn't do everything in my power, but then also internally, like it's like I get off the call, I know I didn't do everything in my power, and I feel like that like maybe discouragement then carries into the next day. So not only like in the 4D dimension is that compounding, but I also feel like internally it's compounding as well. So it would make sense that as those things are compounding in the right direction, also internally, if you get off a call and you don't make a sale, but you know you did everything in your power, I feel like that would be a totally different feeling.
Correct. Because in the 3D or the 4D, what is ultimately being measured is your frequency. So internally, when you get off the call and you're like, oh, I didn't really do everything I could have or should have, or I feel bad, whatever, your frequency goes from high vibration to low vibration or lower vibration. You, as the simplest law of the universe is like attracts like. If your vibration is low, you attract other things that are low vibration. Bad prospects, no shows, annoying prospects, whatever. That's just the laws of the universe is like attracts like. If you get off the call and in the linear, you didn't close the deal, but your vibration is high, that's what you should be optimizing for, is staying at a high vibration. And then the punctuations of moment to moment failures don't actually matter. It's the big picture that your vibration stays high, not too high, not too low. You just stay at this level of consistency. Okay. All right. Yeah, play the UCM rap. Right. I'm going to pull Melek up to the call because Melek seems to have her mind blown. So I want to see what Melek has to say. Promote to panelist. All right. So what was your realization there?
Honestly, Josh, this has been incredible. Like the part that you mentioned, the fact that everything is about our vibration, and what matters is the fact that we're tapped into the 4D as well. And doesn't matter if I close the sale, doesn't matter if, you know, the commission shows up on my paycheck, as long as I'm tuned in, as long as I know that I'm maximizing my abilities. Yeah, as Ben says, playing the 4D game, it's a huge life lesson.
Why was that such a new way of thinking for you?
Yeah, I think it's because with sales, numbers don't lie, right? Scoreboard matters. We see the leaderboard every single day. You know, and especially inside UCM, we're held to a very high standards. Oops, can you guys hear me? I'm freezing
Yeah.
a little bit.
No, we
Okay.
can see you.
You know, you say 15K is no money, all those things. So numbers really matter, but it's also important to remember that our vibration, our frequency matters equally as well. And as long as we do the work, it's going to absolutely pay off.
100%. 100%. Well, thank you for sharing that. I know you've got to bounce, so whenever you
Yeah,
need to
my
jump off, you
pleasure.
can.
Thank you.
You're very welcome. All right, Marcus, I'm going to pull you up. If anybody has comments, questions, feedback, we've got 7 more minutes thereabouts. So I'm going to pull you up. Just put your virtual hand up if you've got something you want to share. Marcus.
Yes, what's up? So, funny enough, this plays into what Melik was saying. So, when Jeremy put in the chat a couple of minutes ago, when we started this whole thing, he said it's non-neediness, right? When you were asking Sam like all these questions, and you said, well, I have an outcome that I'm playing towards, but I'm not attached to either one of them. It's like we're gonna end up somewhere. We just want to figure out, is it gonna be you coming to your own realization of, well, I don't want to continue in this paradigm, as we were saying before, and then you're gonna make a change, or you want to stay in the paradigm as long as you realize you are in one, and then you consciously choose to stay there. That's your non-neediness. And I was writing down as I was looking at my 8 pillars over here, and obviously all the other 6 are important too. But I wrote down, before Melik could even say what you just said, non-neediness combined with 4D connectivity is the absolute superpower. Because if you, exactly like she just said, play the game of I do everything I should as far as holding them accountable without being attached to any kind of sale, like it can only play out in my favor because I committed to, as you said, my duty of holding them where they should be, and then they can pick whichever reality they choose, but you gave them all the tools to empower them. And I wrote down 2 more points, because you said, well, we didn't burn the lead. I think you only ever burn the lead if you don't do that, right? Like if you would just choose to, oh, I'll just offer them because I'm like, I know what I should be doing, but I'm not skilled enough, but I'm not developed enough in my personality that I consciously choose to level up my game in my personality to do what I should be doing. And then I offer them regardless. And I already know they're not going to buy anyways, right? That's a disservice to them. And then I burn the lead. And then if you then go on and follow up because you whatever are supposed to, you already know that's not going to play out either. So then you burn the lead. And the other thing is that I wrote down, sorry, being on a rant here, is you said a master closer guides you through it and then lets you run and do it on your own. And I was thinking at some point in the mastermind, in other programs, whatever that is, like people are being held accountable. And sometimes I was wondering, well, why don't you or UM do that here? Not to say you don't, because of course you you slap us in the face if we do something stupid or if you don't do what we're supposed to be doing. But when you said a master closer guides you through it, then lets you run and do it on your own, I was like, well, obviously we have all the tools, we know what to do, and then if we consciously choose to not do it, that's on us. You already gave us everything that we need. So why hold us accountable if we're not consciously choosing to do it? What can you do? It would be like dropping off a heroin addict in front of a clinic, and they can walk in. You already drove them there, and they already realized, well, I'm addicted, and my life's a piece of shit, and I should fix it. But you can't do the reset for them. They have to do that. So yeah, that's
Right.
it.
And if you look at some stories of people that have been driven to the rehab center and forced to go to the rehab center by their parent or their spouse or whatever, and the significant person in their life literally plugs them into the rehab stuff and gets them all detoxed, then they leave the rehab center and they just go back and do it all over again until someone gets to the point where they're like, I need to go to the rehab center. It might be that they need to say to a friend or a spouse, I need to do this. Can you assist me? Can you help me? Sure. But if someone else is the one picking them up, driving them to the rehab center, putting them there, forcing them to go through the rehab, at the end of it, they just go back on the same merry-go-round and they just do it all over again.
Yeah.
So there is an element of being willing to say, if this person drowns because they're not willing to save themselves with my assistance, unfortunately, as rough as it sounds, I have to be willing to let them drown. And the place that I learned this for the first time in my life was a very weird place to learn a life lesson. When I was at school, I was 16 years old. One of the extracurriculum activities we got to do was lifeguard training. And the first lesson that they teach you in lifeguard training is if someone's drowning and you are the lifeguard and you have the ability to swim over to them and stop them drowning and save them. And when you swim over to them, they try and clamber on top of you and save themselves by drowning you, even though they're not going to save themselves, because if you drown and you're their life raft, you both drown. They said you have to kick them away, like actually manhandle, push them away from you and swim away and watch them drown. And I was like, fuck, that's a pretty significant life lesson to learn. It's the same in everything in life. It's if someone's going to continue to drown themselves and you go into the sales interaction, starting to placate to the prospect, letting them off the hook, allowing them to associate to their victim story, as you said, Marcus, then pitching them when they're not ready to be pitched because they don't have the internal commitment, you are just drowning them and drowning your own self-worth in the process. And then you become the closer that then turns up to the next calls, or you project an energy that the next calls don't even show up, or you project an energy where the next calls show up and the prospect's triggered for whatever reason. Ultimately, you then drown the next prospects because you started to lower your self-worth on the previous prospect that you're now the closer that has no value. And you then cause and you forfeit the opportunity for the next prospects to have an opportunity to save themselves with your assistance because you're now showing up as the wrong closer. So it's always zooming out and looking at the big picture. Yep. Thank you, Marcus.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, let's bring Ben up. All right, I can see you. I can hear you. What do you want to share?
Yeah, mate, it's just... So I only transitioned into closing about a week ago.
What were you doing before?
SDR.
Okay.
So like just transitioned up, promoted up. But mate, it's like there's two... You either find alignment and go deep or pick up on the reservations and like challenge them, essentially. I feel like, yeah, what you said, it's not necessarily about like closing the deal. It's about helping them, I guess, like helping them make a decision, right? At the end of the day.
Yeah, helping them see all of the things that are going to affect the outcome of their decisions, and then saying, these are your options, choose. As opposed to trying to word track someone into a corner and then they're like, oh, I guess I have to fucking enroll. And it's like, I could use word tracks and force someone to enroll and then be a shit client that doesn't get the results and or wants a refund with some of the prospects that ultimately I would, in my ethics, turn around and say, go away for 24 hours and think about it. 50% of those people turn around 24 hours later and say, thank you so much for letting me come to my own conclusion. I now feel empowered. Here's my credit card. They enroll, they become the best clients. 50% of them, they never text you back. Well, if they were never going to text you back, having done everything that I just demonstrated all the way through the back and forth with Faith, they were never going to enroll anyway. And or they were going to enroll and be a shit client and refund and not get results. So you've got to have the ability to know these are the outcomes I want to get to, which is just the truthful options. And that's as far as you can go. That's all you can do.
I love that you said, I don't want to take the internal work away from you, like what you need to do as well, that they need to go through that change themselves. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that, Ben. All right, folks, that is it. So I'm going to end with this. You got to see the rant. You got to see the role play. As a closer, going off of that radar chart that we were talking about in the rant in the previous call, because this will be broken into 2 calls on YouTube. For anybody that's wondering why I said previous call, it'll be previous video on YouTube. You only have 2 things to work on as a high ticket closer that wants to serve more people and get paid by serving more people. There are things that you could have done on the sales call, but that you didn't do. But the key word is you, at your current level of development, could have done them. You knew what to say. You probably could have delivered how to say it, but you just didn't do it. The second thing is I didn't even know what I could have done or had the ability to comprehend what could have been done. If you simplify your journey in sales development down to those 2 things, which is looking at the calls where you turn up and you get it reviewed, or you review it yourself and you think, yeah, that's what I should have done. I should have held my boundary, or I should have challenged the prospect more. I should have said this, but I didn't say that. Or I should have just told them you're not a fit based on your lack of commitment right now, or your lack of clarity of a burning reason to do this. The likelihood of you having success is 0. Things that you know you could have done and you had the capability to do them, but you just didn't. Look at those things and think that's one area that I need to develop. The other thing is where you get a call reviewed or you review your own call and you think, you know what? A part of me feels like this could have been a close, this prospect could have enrolled, but I just really have no idea how I could have turned it from a no sale to a sale. That is the second area. So the 2 differences are knew that you could have, but didn't, and couldn't have done it yourself, as in you had no idea how you could have done it. Those are the only 2 things that you need to be working on. All right, folks, I'll see you inside school. I'll see you on the next live training. Take that momentum from this call today into your calls from today and go and help people, go and serve people, and go and make a massive living on your hero and heroine's journey. I'll see you all on the next training. Later, guys.